Hi, my babies. This is part two to how I met Lilith. Go to part one to really watch. I really went more in detail about how I met her and my first time really working with her. But this one I kind of want to talk about because as much as I, yes, like accepted Lilith's calling, but there was a couple things that did make me skeptical at first about, working with Lilith. And it's simply the reputation, unfortunately, society has put on her for the past like 10,000 years. And it's the whole baby concept on top of her because man, oh man, when I first started doing research on her, and I don't know how it is now on Google and all that sort of stuff, I have to say, out of all of the deities I have read about, I have been in contact with, nobody takes the bigger hit and the bigger blow the way Lilith does. Immediately, she's a demon, she's a succubus, she preys on pregnant women, she's a baby. She uses men, all these crazy things. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not right. At this point, I've met Lilith. I have seen her vampiric side, but I've also seen her motherly aspect. And I could say this with personal experience. Not once. Even back when I was 8 years old, when I very first met Lilith, and I always used to describe her as the woman in red. Go to part one so you know what I'm talking about. Not once did I have, or even now, have ever felt like I'm in danger. This woman's going to come after my soul. This woman, my dog squeaking his toy sign. Not once have I ever thought that this woman was pure evil, but this is also the part where I also got caught up in other opinions, essentially. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was skeptical about working with Lilith first. I'm not going to lie. And it was about the whole baby thing going on until I continued to do my research. And that's where I'm saying immediately I was like, dang, nobody's taking a bigger hit the way Lilith is. Out of all the infernals, nobody except really her. And then it really hit me one day with the whole baby snatcher thing. How many times in your life as a woman, especially if I'm talking to a woman, were you blamed just for simply existing? And if you are somebody that is questioning about work with Lilith because of the societal things that have been onto her, I need you to take a step back. How many times were you blamed as a woman? Because I'll tell you what, when I left, I talked about in part one, when I left my person at the time, when I tell you immediately I got demonized. I was accused of cheating on the man. I was accused of doing all sorts of crazy things that I did not do. What's any different than what happened to Lilith? I mean, again, Lilith said no one time, and the patriarchy has been pissed off about it for the past 10,000 years. What a part of that is evil? So for my backstory, again, what I said in part one, me leaving a man, did that make me evil? I'm sure to other people's eyes, yes, but did that make me evil because I finally started to see my own worth? I deserved to not be in a cage, to not feel like love should be a prison. I deserved my freedom just as much as she did. So why would you conform her to one thing? That's where I know a lot of people, I'm sure, have a different relationship with Lilith. For some of you, you may get that motherly aspect of her, like I do. Others of you, you may get that draconic side out of her. Others of you, you may get a goddess. You may get a demon or infernal form out of her. Lilith is a hands down one of those deities, one of the very, 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 very few deities. You cannot conform her to one thing. And I figured that out very, very quickly. She is not a demon. She is goddess. She is a mother. She is a vampire, whatever verbiage. There is no way I or anybody could conform her to one thing. Yes, I get a motherly treatment out of her, but I have seen her scary side. I have seen her sides where she is gentle to me, but then the next day it'll switch up and she's telling me to get my butt in gear. So after it came to a realization to me that the whole baby thing was not true, that's when I had to do some serious reflection on my healing journey. Why did the first thing that come to my head was, oh, but she's a baby snatcher, and what if like all of this and that, and I don't want to do, why did I conform her to that one belonging? And a lot of that came from my own shadow work. That actually, it was probably the first shadow work I had to work on, is why did I out of all the good things that Lilith, before I even started working with her, has brought me, why did immediately I switch over and be like, well, society says she's a baby snatcher, so I'm questioning and I'm skeptical. Why? Because for me, I came from, I guess, a conformed religion. I came from, I guess, a Christian background. I had, no, I did not have the Bible shoved down my throat, but I did have my mom's side, who mainly was Jehovah's Witness. My dad came from a Catholic side, and that's where I briefly talked about my page on my adolescent years. I tried to get into Christianity, and it was, believe it or not, it was mainly my peers that kind of ruined that concept for me, but it obviously shaped me out for the better. But of course, when you come from a conformed religion of some sort, odds are you are taught that angels are good and demons are evil. There is a heaven and there is a hell, and there is a God and there is a Satan. And of course, I brought that up on my page before. None of that stuff made sense to me. So a lot of it is that Christian mindset was trickling back in on me, thinking that, again, demons were bad and that angels were good. In reality, demons are chaotic energy. But my point with Lilith is I've never, even then, looked at her as a demon. Can she be one? Sure. Is she one? Yes. But I look at her as, this is mother. She brought me into this world. She could take you right out. She is fierce. She is protective. She is loving. She is understanding. But she is also incredibly smart. She's free. She's wild. She's chaotic. What point of that is evil? Because so are you, sis. So if you were somebody that is, and I understand it, I am not just, because I kind of, like I said, I never believed in that, but I was skeptical when I first started working with Lilith. I was like, well, and I really need you to take a step back. And this is something Lilith is going to reflect back to you, is that many times as you demonize her, you demonize yourself. Take that step back. How many times simply as a woman were you blamed for crap that wasn't even your fault? Lilith, even back in her lores, was blamed on, nothing was proved of it though. That was the crazy part. She was blamed so much, all because she decided to go against authority. So that is an aspect I wanted to talk about. And of course, as much as I do, and I always will, hold my mother to this standard, I will say this too. Doing shadow work with Lilith has also been the most triggering. It's not been easy. And that's where I'm really excited to honor her definitely tonight, because this year I feel like I'm the most proud of myself when it comes to my shadow work. For once, I am not avoiding my BS, where I will say, and again, everybody has a different relationship with Lilith. Some get a motherly side, some get more of, a vampiric side from her, demon, whatever verbiage you want to use. And that's where I always try to preach to people, do not conform Lilith to one thing, because there's no way. I've seen quite a different bit of sides from her. But as far as that motherly aspect that she has given me, why? Because apparently that is the energy I need the most from her. Not saying she hasn't put me in my place, because she definitely has. But I will say, because of that motherly side, Lilith is also the most patient with me. There has been times I've talked to her and say, I don't want to deal with this right now. And she has said, okay, but guess what? She's going to bring it up to me again. And to follow Lilith, I will always say, and I'm going to just give you guys a heads up, she is the epitome of do not get comfortable with being comfortable. If you look at her lore, her story, I don't care which, aspect of Lilith you follow, she was constantly on the go. She never, that's where I'm saying there's no way, in my opinion, you could conform her to one thing, because she was never conformed to one. She was constantly moving. You can't keep up. That's on you. Therefore, for all my followers of Lilith, you will always, unfortunately, deal with karmic energies. You will always, your friendships will be tested. Your relationships will be tested. Your, the way you view, I guess, spirituality or religion, it's always going to be tested. And it's never to punish you. It's to elevate you. She was always tested. She was always blamed for certain things. You constantly have to keep going. So I will say this, there's obviously a resting period, but there's not. You're going to be constantly moving around. Things are going to fall apart in your life, but it's also because you're constantly shifting. Being a follower of Lilith, I have to say, I have never, in the 3 years I have worked with her, my character development, my personal development it's gone from black and white. I was lost back then. I had no self-care, no self-worth, and now I love myself so much. I wish someone would try to push my buttons. Like, that's the attitude I have. I wish you would try to convince me otherwise, because now I will never let a dirtbag of a man ever control me.